Booker was hilarious, especially when he got the tiny ladder. He was like, tell me I did not just get...
Take a minute and appreciate how many of these wrestlers were on the streets and then they made it. Just keep drinking. Like if you wrestled Giant Gonzalez, how much of a train wreck that would be.
Of course not.
He wasn't black as they tried to portray him because he was from Africa.
He was South African.
You know what they were going for.
Yeah,
this was going to be the match to put him over. Unfortunately,
he was married.
Yeah.
Boogeyman says that he's going to get Trump some sandwiches. Then it cuts to a shot of Vince from the baby's perspective. Vince suggests that the baby, he's screaming, "Oh no, don't humiliate me. No, it's humiliating." And I wonder if that's how his assistant sounded.
Those funny hammer fists.
Those scientific punches is what those were. Punches of justice.
That's America's. And we press on to
a Wrestling Rewind.
The Retro Review.
And this week is WrestleMania 23. And we start off with a highlight reel of WrestleMania's past. Kind of sounded like they used Mankind's music in the background. And then WrestleMania returns to... Okay, good. WrestleMania returns to Detroit. And it's all grown up. So that's
I was not a fan of that whole...
I was not either. And they cut to a footage of Vince welcome everybody to WrestleMania 3. And that cuts to the crowd, and it transitions to the live WrestleMania 23 crowd. It's pretty good. A little touch. And then Aretha Franklin's back to sing America the Beautiful. She sang America the Beautiful at WrestleMania 3. And we can see that she's been eating well. And the WrestleMania 3 performance was better, in my opinion. There's a lot more soul. She was still hungry.
This was long. It felt like it went on forever.
Yeah, the backup singers, and then when she stood up, you know.
Yeah, she did the piano chorus and then stands up, and it's like, oh, there's more.
Then we get another WrestleMania video package. WrestleMania is brought to us by Raw, SmackDown, and ECW. Then they reused the Superstar song from Saliva. That's how you know we're in tough times. Jim Ross and Jerry Lawler are on commentary, as are Cole and JBL for SmackDown, and then Joey Styles and fucking Taz for ECW. So dear God, help us all. And the first match is the Money in the Bank ladder match. Our contestants are Jeff Hardy, King Booker, who had the coolest entrance with the pinky and the kneeling thing. It's a nice little presentation. Fit Finlay, who still likes to fight. CM Punk, who is making his WrestleMania debut, sort of. He did the gangster thing last year for Cena.
Was it last year?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, man, he sped run to the main roster, I guess. And I thought it was 2 years ago, but yeah, if it was last year, it's even better.
Well, he's on ECW. That's not really the main roster.
Well, I mean, he's on the card. He's on WrestleMania.
He's on Spike TV at 12 a.m.
You know, he was one of the standouts on ECW, at least for me. Like when I saw him, there's always something about him I liked.
I enjoyed Big Show's ECW championship reign when Paul Heyman was his manager.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember anything else from ECW other than it was short-lived. And it
was short-lived, and it was more so, they would just debut like the newer talent.
Yeah.
Kofi Kingston, I believe, got to start on ECW.
Yeah, Kofi Kingston screams ECW.
Kevin Thorne, that vampire guy. I was actually disappointed. The vampire gimmick, what we had to compare it to was Gangrel, so I thought there was going to be more. He had that great finisher, though, like that hanging on the ropes into the stunner.
I don't know. I know who he is. I just never seen him wrestle. He started off as Mordecai.
Oh.
And he had the white beard and shit.
I remember Mordecai, yeah. I didn't know that was him, though.
Yeah. Mr. Kennedy is also making his debut. And we have Matt Hardy, Randy Orton, and Edge. They played up the whole Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy thing. So kind of got a little excited. Like, yeah, we've never really seen them fight. So there's a million motherfuckers on commentary for this match. Every single one of them are on commentary. You remember that one WCW pay-per-view? But like that actually made sense and it was done well. This was not.
Yeah.
Booker was hilarious, especially when he got the little tiny ladder. He was like, "Tell me I did not just get." Kennedy did a swanton on the back of his head and neck, landed straight on the ladder, and Edge threw the tiny ladder straight in CM Punk's face. Punk bled. The Hardys fought for the first time at WrestleMania, and it was little sissy punches at the top of the ladder, but before Finlay knocked both of them off. Edge speared everybody in the match, and then made absolutely no attempt to retrieve the briefcase until he got a really tall ladder for no reason. It's worth noting that there were at least 2 ladders in the ring. Jeff Hardy did a leg drop to Edge on the ladder. There was a ladder bridge, and Jeff Hardy did a leg drop to Edge. And Matt was all fucked up about it. Like, he basically lost the match because Jeff was taken out.
Even though he told him to go do it.
Yeah.
And it's worth noting this was rated R Superstar Edge, so this was post Lita. So he did have agenda there. But yeah, he used his brother as a bullet, if you will.
Orton RKO's everybody. And then King Booker chose Charmel over the briefcase because Matt Hardy threatened her with a twist of fate unless Booker stopped climbing the ladder. Hornswoggle came out to help Finlay get the briefcase for some reason. Kennedy did his move to the little guy from the top of the ladder. It looked like at one point Punk was going to win, but Finlay stopped him. And then Kennedy comes in, knocks Punk off the ladder with another ladder, and he gets the briefcase. And he wins this year's Spot Fest. I just want to say also that Hardy's leg drop was nothing compared to Benjamin running up the ladder 2 years in a row. Or Christian falling off the goddamn ladder.
I don't know. I thought it was a good spot.
I think we've seen it before.
Well, I know we saw that finish already. Lon darting the ladder to knock the guy off.
Yes.
We saw that finish. But that's okay.
We are reminded that Stone Cold starred in a movie once. And boy, did everybody slob on Stone Cold's cock. Like, oh, it's really good.
Condemned.
Oh, there were parts where Stone Cold told a joke and the whole theater just burst out laughing. Okay. One of the former backstage goobers interviews Kennedy. I can't remember. It doesn't matter.
I don't know. I forget his name, but he had the glasses and the spiky hair for some reason.
Kennedy congratulates himself. Then he says everyone wearing gold is on notice and better grow eyes in the back of their head. And he says he hears nice guys finish last. Well, thank God he's not a nice guy. Thank God he's Mr. Kennedy. Thank God he's Mr. Money in the Bank. Bank.
Yay! Unfortunately, I don't remember what happens, but I know he doesn't cash it in successfully. I think he loses it to someone.
I think it's Edge.
Oh. I don't know. I felt like there was a little bit of a ball dropping on him.
Well, he kind of ball dropped himself because I think he failed drug tests. That and Randy Orton had it out for him.
I just remember there was a match where he injured Bobby Lashley, and then he was fired after that. I'm not saying that that's why he got fired, but that was his last match in WWE. But he had so much promise. So, yeah, if it was drugs and Orton.
Well, Batista had a thing. He's from the streets now, too. But he grew up to be champion by fighting children or something stupid. I don't know. All grown up.
Just take a minute and appreciate how many of these wrestlers were on the streets and then they made it.
We can do
just
that,
keep
too.
Dreaming. Yeah, just keep dreaming. That's the point of this. If you dream big and you work towards it, you can't just dream and not work towards it. But if you work towards it and you dream, you can achieve stuff. There was a statement that I heard someone say the other day. You know, a lot of people, they'll pray to win the lottery, but they'll never buy a ticket. You got to buy the ticket too. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to win the lottery one day and never even try to get the ticket. You got to have both. I don't know.
Glad I stopped. Great Khali versus Kane. Starts off with a perfect collar and elbow tie-up. Kane is immediately overpowered. Kane says, fucks this. Starts using fists. Khali beats the fuck out of Kane for a long while. Kane fires back. Does a top rope clothesline that I think Kane got the worst of. Khali does the Andre spot with the ropes so Kane can get more offense in. Then Kane goes under the ring. He retrieves a hook and a chain. And the commentary team says, oh, look, there's that hook and chain, implying that this isn't the first time that Kane has used a hook and a chain as a weapon.
If I recall correctly, I don't know if the timing is right on this or not, but It was a pretty big piece of his horror movie when he was Jacob Goodnight in See
Oh,
No
that's
Evil,
right. Okay.
which they integrated into his character, I guess. They were just showing the Stone Cold movie.
Well, they gotta.
So,
I mean, you gotta get what they can. Collie recovers, pummels Kane, then he rips off the turnbuckle, and popcorn comes out, kind of like George the Animal Steel. And Kane crotch Collie with the chain, tries to win with a scoop slam. Then Kane goes for a choke slam, but Collie grabs Kane's throat so they can do the double choke thing. And then Kane shoots off the ropes. He gets caught with a double choke slam. Collie covers Demon Kane with 1 foot for 1, 2, 3.
in my mind, that's how John Cena is going to pin Gunther when he wins 17.
Collie choked Kane out with his own chain after the match. And the crowd sure hated Collie. What a
Yeah.
perfect match.
You like that match?
You know, anytime the great Khali steps in between the ropes, we're just going to be treated to the most scientific exhibition of wrestling purity.
Okay. You know, I was wondering how bad, like if he wrestled Giant Gonzalez, how much of a train wreck that would be.
I'm really hoping that Khali and Giant have a WrestleMania match.
Oh, God.
Right? The Divas had a thing too, like Batista. I thought it was kind of funny that they were all lumped together after learning Batista street trash. So like everybody else gets individual ones, but all the Divas are just, I'll throw you all together.
Yeah.
There's
They're
no
all grown up
individuals
too.
here. Eugene and Crime Time backstage. Eugene is bald, but Crime Time assures him that he still looks like a playa. Crime Time then brought backup dancers to cheer Eugene up because his head's shaved. Of course, Mae Young and Moolah show up, so Eugene can prefer them over the hot young backup dancers. Eugene also flopped his tongue about as he was dancing with Mae and Moolah. I don't know what the fuck that was. Once again, Moolah stood there uninterested, and Slick appeared. And I have no idea what the fuck he said, and then he started dancing. Then Dusty Rhodes comes out to say you can't have a dance party without him, and then everybody starts dancing with him. Then we get Sergeant Slaughter, Jimmy Hart, IRS, Mean Gene, Howard Finkel, and maybe Pat Patterson. They all come in, start dancing. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat comes in to do a karate pose. He winks at the camera and then just leaves. Gerald Briscoe
No, he
starts
starts
dancing.
dancing too, though. He started dancing, but then like exited the
He
screen,
backed away, yeah.
so we didn't see him dancing, but we saw him head nodding as he left the area.
Yeah, I was like, you too, Ricky? Yeah, Gerald Briscoe's dancing now. Farouk comes in to say, damn. Then everyone dances some more. I'm left wondering, like, how the fuck did this cheer Eugene up? It seemed like all the veterans just made it about themselves.
I'm left wondering, why does Vince hate veterans?
Right.
Like, golly, last year the $1 Million Man had to humiliate himself with the freak show segment. This thing,
Ironically enough, Eugene was a part of it.
yeah. This year we got Ricky the Dragon Steamboat dancing.
That was the worst part.
Yeah. I was like, no.
That little wink.
Yeah. Not Ricky. Okay. Slick, I can understand. By the way, he was dancing with
Could you understand?
yeah, because he
I
was always
couldn't.
doing that. When he was the manager, he would always be dancing. His shtick was dancing back then. Remember when he was with the white African guy? What was his name? Hakeem?
Hakeem, the American Dream, also known as the One Man Gang.
Oh, yeah. So he
Dropping
wasn't
street
black.
knowledge. Of course not.
He wasn't black as they tried to portray him because he was from Africa.
He was South African. Duh.
Oh, you know what they were going for.
It's
You know what they were going for.
traditional South African, of course.
Sure.
I'm sure that's how the white people dress in Africa. You see it all the time in the magazines.
That's true. We can't let facts get in the way of a good time, of course.
MVP versus Chris Benoit for the U.S. title. MVP comes out with an S tier theme song and cheerleaders. And I thought it was interesting that it was just cheerleaders instead of like, you know, so and so underprivileged school cheerleaders. They all didn't look the same. You know, it's just kids having a cool moment.
No agenda.
Yeah. I guess that was a more succinct way to get my point across. So it starts off with neither man backing down. Then they kind of sort of start mat wrestling, and MVP surprisingly gets the better of Chris Benoit. And that was really the story of the match. Is MVP came to play. Chris Benoit was as tenacious as he always was, but MVP was just a little bit better. And then Benoit just started using fists. That seemed to work, but MVP countered a superplex with a arm guillotine thing. That seemed to fuck Benoit up. And he starts working on his arm. Benoit hit his 3 rolling German suplexes. And then Benoit goes for his headbutt. MVP pops up fresh as a daisy to deliver a superplex to Benoit. Benoit countered, I guess, into a pin. And then MVP goes back to whooping his ass. Benoit tried to lock in the crossface out of nowhere, but can't do it because MVP fucked his arm up. Then MVP popped up and said, "Ah, hell nah." And MVP goes for a hell of a kick. Benoit ducks, hits 3 German suplexes again. Actually, it was 5, but MVP broke up the first sequence, so Benoit had to start over. It's Canadian logic. And then Benoit
Yeah, he has to
delivers.
hit him in order.
Yeah. Benoit delivers a diving headbutt directly to the heart of MVP. 1, 2, 3.
It was a pretty good match.
It was a really good match.
We know that soon something's going to be happening with Benoit, but it was funny that they're, or not funny, but they're putting him over as, surefire Hall of Famer, one of the best mat technicians, one of the best wrestlers, and it was all true.
Yeah.
I felt like this was like the beginning of him getting really respected as like the best to do it.
Yeah.
The active best wrestler whenever you get that title. I
Yeah,
thought
I
this
could see
was
that.
going to be the match to put him over. Now, unfortunately,
You're right. Unfortunately, he was married.
yeah.
The Undertaker had a thing as well. So the other wrestlers have mentioned how growing up has led to their success in wrestling. Undertaker says that everyone's days are numbered, his thirst for vengeance will never die, unlike our own mortality, and don't fear the end, pray for it. At least he was in character.
Yeah.
President Trump, he's sitting on a couch, he's talking on the phone, miffed that there's no refreshments for himself and the very scrumptious looking former Miss USA, Tara, sitting next to him. The fucking boogeyman appears behind the couch, chases off Tara. Trump says into the phone, "You wouldn't believe this." Boogeyman says you gotta get Trump. Trump says, "If you're gonna get me anything, get me some food." Boogeyman says that he's gonna get Trump some sandwiches.
Yep. Trump didn't flinch at all. Shows that president resolve right there.
Then a little boogeyman walks out from behind the couch in front of Trump. Trump says, "Who the hell are you?" And then the little boogeyman just walks away without a word.
Yep.
We get a Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The inductees are the Wild Samoans, the original Iron Sheik, Nick Bockwinkel, Mr. Fuji, good old JR, who was as goofy as a pet coon, Mr. Perfect. We saw Curtis Axel for a couple seconds. I don't know if he's wrestling in WWE at this point or not.
I don't think so.
Jerry the King Lawler, who was inducted by William Shatner, or Captain Kirk, Dusty Rhodes, and we saw Cody and Mama Rhodes. That was their WrestleMania debut, technically. And Goldust looked like a normal person.
Yep. It's kind of eerie that we're seeing the Wild Samoans be inducted the same week, same month that they both died.
Well, Lilian Garcia announces the attendance, which was 80,103. And I don't remember them doing that in a while.
Yeah, they haven't. Maybe there hasn't been anything to boast.
True. Yeah. Garcia then introduces Howard Finkel so he can trot out the Hall of Fame inductees. I like how Sika kept doing the crazy eyes to the camera.
Yep. They were the only one in like character.
So Batista versus The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this is the first match to get a video package. So Undertaker won the Royal Rumble. We see him face to face with all 3 champions, the WWE World Heavyweight and ECW champion for some reason. Undertaker turns to Batista and slashes his throat while doing his little eye roll thing. And then Batista gets chokeslammed. And then we see Batista and Undertaker seemingly working as a team in a winning effort against Shawn Michaels and John Cena. And then Undertaker gets a spine buster from Batista. And then we get Batista highlight reel. Batista says Undertaker will never be the man until he beats Batista. Then we get an Undertaker highlight reel. Undertaker says Batista's reign as champion will rest in peace. Then we get highlights of Batista and Undertaker beating each other up.
I remember it from back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember Undertaker looking each man when he was choosing. he did a face to face with everybody, and then he did that step, and then went back and looked at Batista again. I remember all of that, so that's cool.
Well, we cut to Teddy Long in the ring, and he brings out the challengers. Batista comes out, and he takes 3 weeks to walk from one end of the big ass stage to the other. Also, he can do a stupid little dance without any pyro. I wasn't even excited for his pyro at this point, and it was a shitty angle anyway.
I don't know. It's greatness for me.
Fair enough. We get the Druids once again. They come out with torches, circle the ring, and leave. They just leave. Undertaker comes out of a Bray Wyatt door, and he stole Kane's Hellfire. And this starts with a fists of flying. Batista kicked off everything with a spear. Undertaker, the best pure striker in the history of the game since Glacier. Batista clotheslines Undertaker outside the ring. Taker lands on his feet, drags Batista out with him. Turns out to be a bad decision because Taker just gets his ass whooped some more. There's a point where Taker tries to fight air. It's kind of funny. Batista launches Undertaker into the steel steps before getting back into the ring. And he's tired of waiting for Undertaker to get back, so he grabs him, throws him back into the ring. And then he nails a shoulder tackle from the top ropes. And they're like, oh, we've never seen Batista do that.
Yeah, Michael Cole went crazy.
He was awful.
He's like, I swear to God, I've never seen Batista do that. Like, okay.
Undertaker tries a big boot, does dick, and yeah, his ass kicking continues. Finally, Taker fights back with some belly punches and an uppercut while he was on his knees the whole time. Then they trade some punches. Taker hits a couple modified stinger splashes, a snake eyes, a big ass boot, Hogan's leg drop, and an old school. And then Batista gets set up for a choke slam, but then he powers out of it. So after taking all those moves, he still fights out of it. The animal.
He is an animal.
Batista tries to fire up, but then he gets hit with a flying clothesline. Taker does his apron leg drop to Batista, then his suicide dive, which he got hella air under. Then Undertaker beats Batista's ass outside the ring. Batista ends up throwing Taker into some chairs, and then he power slams Taker through one of the announce tables. Taz was kind of enough to help clear them off. Taker also tried to fight off some air again. Then after a failed pin attempt, Batista just starts wailing on the Undertaker. Then he tries to go for a Batista bomb that Undertaker fights out of. Then Batista gets Undertaker in the corner. He starts doing the 10 punches thing. Probably was a little bit more than 10. He was wailing on him. Taker then counters into a last ride. Batista survived. And then Batista hits a spine buster, starts hulking up. Undertaker sits up behind Batista, which was very anticlimactic because the camera missed the whole thing. And Undertaker hits a choke slam, goes for a tombstone. Batista escapes, hits a spear. Then he hits a Batista palm. Undertaker kicks out of that, which would have been a big moment if the cameramen weren't crackheads, because Batista's like holding his hand and shock and stuff, but they're doing like the shaky cam shit and they're doing quick cuts to other things.
Ah, Mr. Dunn. That's what everybody complained about him for. All the camera cuts and the shaky shit.
Why couldn't they just stay on Batista?
I don't know. There was a lot of camera cuts, though.
Yeah. It just ruined it. Batista goes for another Batista bomb. Taker fights out of it, hits his tombstone, 1, 2, 3. Then Undertaker celebrates with his title. Batista was just lying there twitching, and I thought he was going to stay there the whole time like the Giant did that one pay-per-view. But he didn't. Yeah, it was a stellar match. Yeah, we were saying that it's hard to watch Undertaker matches because we know it's going to happen.
Yeah, like the Batista bomb spot. If we didn't know the Undertaker was going to win, like that would have been a hell of a spot.
Right.
I guess that was really the only near fall. Like that would have been the only spot that was like, oh my God, he kicked out.
Although it was kind of a weak ass Batista bomb.
It was, but Undertaker's a big dude. But I would say this is the run of Undertaker having good wrestling matches. But I did enjoy this one a lot.
Yeah, it was really good. Bobby Lashley got a growing up thing too. He said he had pride and heart since he was a kid or something. They're all really silly after the Taker said he was going to eat everybody's soul.
I was thinking, did they write these or did they just have to read them?
I would suspect that they had to read them.
Like, okay, this is your backstory.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Well, maybe they gave whoever was writing it ideas, like, oh, this is how I grew up and stuff, so they could write the story. But I doubt that Vince would let them write their own shit.
True.
Speaking of Vince, He's in his office marveling about how handsome of a son of a bitch he is. Then Stephanie interrupts with the kid she was carrying last WrestleMania. There's also paintings of Trump in the background with various hairstyles. The Rasta Trump was my favorite. Vince yells at Stephanie for bringing a baby to him. She tries to leave, but Vince says maybe the baby will bring good luck. Vince starts making baby faces. Then it cuts to a shot of Vince from the baby's perspective. Vince suggests that the baby came just to see Vince beat up Donald Trump. Vince vows to bash Trump's brains in. Stephanie tries to interject. Vince cuts her off. Vince then says he's giving Trump a skull fracture. He's going to bloody Trump up, then shave his head, then pull it out by the roots. All in baby talk. Suddenly, Vince just stops. He sniffs a little. He turns to Stephanie. He says, "Do you smell what I smell? Smell!" Before Stephanie can say anything, Vince reveals that the baby shit itself.
And he said, "This baby just took a Trump." So, all that for that.
ECW Originals versus the New Breed in an 8-man tag match. The Originals came out through the crowd, and it consisted of the Sandman, who apparently was a blue-collar hero, RVD, Tommy Dreamer, and Sabu. The New Breed didn't come out from the crowd. They had a normal entrance. They're Elijah Burke, Marcus Corvan, Matt Stryker, and Kevin Thorne. And this is a match under the ECW brand. So naturally, under the ECW brand, you want an organized, rule-abiding tag team bout to showcase what ECW is all about.
Of course.
There was nothing ECW looking about the New Breed, Thorne especially. The worst part about Thorne...
the vampire.
No, the worst part about Thorne is he looked like he was wearing a costume.
Well, he was.
Well, Gangrel had at least a ruffle shirt on. You can buy one of those at the thrift store.
Well, he had, I don't know.
He looked ridiculous. RVD won with a 5-star frog splash on Stryker. This was a nothing tag match. Sabu was probably the most exciting part of it. And he was only there for like a minute.
I would say the whole match, the entrances are probably longer than the match itself. That match went by really fast.
They didn't even fight outside the ring.
They didn't.
And there wasn't even one, oh my God. So it's like, why did you bring a third commentary team in? Just one for one match and two for this.
So they can do their ECW things. Honestly, the commentary, I didn't see a problem with it. They weren't like talking over each other or anything. So
fair enough. Stone Cold had a thing too. His dad told him to beat people up, so he did. Then there is a WrestleMania 24 spot. It's going to be in Orlando at the Citrus Bowl. So, yay.
Yay.
I believe it's the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl today.
Some branding on it, yeah.
Then we get Umaga versus Bobby Lashley. It's the Battle of the Billionaires. Hair versus hair. And of course, there's a video package. And they say it's billionaire versus billionaire. Ego versus ego. Hair versus hair. Umaga and Lashley will face off to keep their respective billionaires unscathed. Then we cut to various celebrities hoping that Trump gets his head shaved. Then some celebrities say Trump should be keeping his hair. I'm sure that they're all blacklisted now. Vince is the owner of the WWE and a handsome, virile son of a bitch. Trump comes in to Raw one day and says the fans hate Vince, and then he drops some money. So naturally, the fans love Trump. Lashley and Umaga get dragged into this, and they brawled. And then Stone Cold Steve Austin is brought in as a special guest referee to keep everybody in check. And Stone Cold vows that we'll see one bald-headed billionaire. And Vince says that he's going to give Trump a billionaire bitch slap. And he slapped Lashley and shaved Eugene's head. And Trump says he's going to kick Vince's ass. And then he slapped Vince and shoved him over a table. A barber chair is brought out to big band music. Vince comes strutting out. They cut to beauty queens booing McMahon. McMahon pantomimes cutting hair, then aggressively brushing it off. And Umaga comes out. I have no idea how he got Roman's necklace.
Roman got his necklace.
I have no idea how.
So is he the tribal chief?
How did Umaga steal Roman's necklace? It's weird. Does Sola know about this? So with this whole bloodline thing, why can't they bring someone in and say they're actually from the island so they can be like this fucking savage?
What do you mean?
Think about it. This is my cousin TT from the island, and it's like a fucking true Samoan. It's kind of like the Sopranos when they brought Furio in.
You might find this surprising. I've never watched the Sopranos.
No.
But I get you. Well, they have Jacob Fatu.
I just want to see the grass skirt and the fucking face paint.
I do remember that cover up thing that Umaga had on. They really did more than things.
Trump comes out with the beauty queen the boogeyman chased off earlier. And Trump's theme song is just money, 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 looped on repeat. Money falls from the sky. It's really on the nose with his whole presentation, isn't it?
It is.
Trump also pantomimes cutting off hair. And then Vince tries to huddle with Umaga. Umaga just screams Samoan in McMahon's face. It'd be funny. I love you, Solo. Match officially starts. Both men crashing into each other, then posing. Lashley wails on Umaga in the corner. Stone Cold tells Bobby to stop. He doesn't. So Stone Cold drags Bobby off of Umaga. Naturally, Bobby's pissed. Obviously, Umaga uses the distraction to get the advantage. Lashley hits a shoulder tackle from the second rope. Estrada put Umaga's foot on the rope. Lashley beat the shit out of Estrada. Umaga was down the entire time. So it must have been one hell of a second rope shoulder tackle.
Yep.
Umaga tries to attack a distracted Lashley again and ends up flying out of the ring. And then he tried to tend to Estrada, who was still motionless. And Vince ended up calling for a stretcher. Umaga gets in the ring, gets his ass beat. Lashley goes for a spear. Umaga sidesteps, sending Lashley flying out of the ring. McMahon was delighted. Then Umaga gets Lashley in the ring, starts kicking his ass. Austin pulls Umaga off with a blatant chokehold. Umaga and Austin have a stare down. Umaga goes back to choking Lashley. Austin pulls Umaga off by the hair. Naturally, Umaga's pissed. Obviously, Bobby recovers and fires back on Umaga. And Lashley's cut off with a monster clothesline. And McMahon talks shit to Trump at this very moment. Umaga beats up Lashley some more. And Lashley tries another comeback before eating a Samoan drop. And Lashley tries to scoop slam Umaga and then does the Luger thing. Then Vince gets on the apron for some reason, tells Umaga to pull his head out of his ass, even though Umaga's in clear control at this point in the match. And Lashley ends up knocking McMahon off the apron, but Umaga catches him and delivers an STO. Then Umaga goes to the top rope, and you can hear Trump go, "Look out, Bobby!" And Lashley catches Umaga. They do the flare bump. Then Lashley hit a clothesline. Both men fall in a heap. Austin starts the count. He actually makes it to 10, but before he can make it official, he just says, "Fuck you. I ain't counting to 10." And he just waits. And then Shane comes out to check on Vince, who's still knocked out from Lashley running into him. And then Umaga beats Lashley's ass, starts choking him again. Austin pulls Umaga off by hooking his eye. Then Shane tries to interject, but gets run off by Austin. Umaga decks Austin, and I don't blame Umaga one bit.
I know, he can only take so much.
Shane tries to motivate the Samoan bulldozer Umaga for some reason. Shane McMahon is trying to pep talk the Samoan bulldozer. And then Shane starts beating up Lashley, giving Undertaker a run for his money as the best pure striker in the company. Lashley actually sold for Shane, which had to have been embarrassing. Then Umaga gets involved, making it 2-on-1. Umaga does his running ass charge. Vince tosses Shane a trash can so he can do his coast-to-coast thing. Shane takes off his blazer and his shirt, and he reveals that he's been wearing a referee shirt this whole time. Shane pulls Lashley in the middle of the ring so Umaga can splash him. And then Austin pulls Shane out of the ring before he can make the 3 count. And Shane gets tossed into the steel steps. Austin gets decked by Umaga again as soon as he gets in the ring. Then Vince talks shit to the fallen Austin. Trump comes out of nowhere and starts fucking Vince up. And then Umaga tries to Samoan spike on Steve Austin, but gets stunned, of course. And then Lashley comes out of nowhere with a spear, 1, 2, 3. And Austin actually had a fair count, and the bell rang on the 2. Trump was elated, though, and Vince was shitting bricks.
Trump did his pose similar to when he got that thing that happened to him recently. Like the fist up. Yeah.
Well, after the match, Lashley and Trump celebrate. Cuts to Vince with a very worried look on his face. Then he looks up, and the worry turns to fear because Stone Cold is staring right at him. Austin grabs Vince, tosses him into the ring, completely ignoring the barber chair that came out to theme music earlier. Shane attacks Austin before he can do anything, and then Shane gets Luthez pressed. And then Austin opens up a can of whoop ass on him. Trump and Lashley just stand there and watch. Austin, of course, stunned Shane. Shane took a weird bump to the outside of the ring. First, he bounced off the rope. Then we cut to Vince attempting to escape by crawling away as slowly as physically possible. Well, he actually gets halfway to the aisle, but then he just stops and starts talking shit. Lashley gets out of the ring, starts chasing after Vince. The fireman carries him to the ring, and Trump straps him into the barber chair, and they proceed to cut Vince's head off. And he's screaming, "Oh no, don't humiliate me. No, it's humiliating." And I wonder if that's how his assistant sounded.
Also saying stuff like, "I'll never forgive you for this.
Yeah.
I'll never forget this."
Oh no, it just looked like he took specific inspiration.
He was writing it down for the role. It is kind of funny that they had Ashley Massaro or whatever also on this WrestleMania. And, you know, apparently she was a big Vince guy, if you will.
Good for her.
Looking at her, I thought Vince was like a more clean cut type of girl.
Oh no, he likes them dirty. So after they cut Vince's hair, then they grab some shaving cream and shave his head bald. Lashley was covered head to toe, or not head to toe, but he was covered in shaving cream. Looked ridiculous. And then he showed Vince's face in the mirror, and Vince freaked out. Jim Ross said he's not smiling. He has Bell's palsy. Yeah. Vince crawls backward out of the ring, walks away like a freak, while fans shout Baldy at him. Then the good guys drink beer in the ring. All is well. Then Austin stuns Donald Trump. Why, Austin? Why? You son of a bitch. That legitimately surprised me.
Yeah. I figured it was going to happen at some point.
No, I didn't think in snowball's chance in hell that the Donald would take a bump.
Well, yeah, I should say I thought that it was going to happen, but then seeing how Donald wasn't necessarily playing along with the wrestling, you know, he no-sold Boogeyman, and
Yeah.
it was like, maybe he's not going to get physical or anything. He's just there to stand around. But then he attacked Vince with those those funny hammer fists.
Those scientific punches is what those were. Punches
Like,
of justice.
That's America's. But it was funny. My son was watching it with me, and he was like, "Oh my god, he just did that to Donald Trump." I was like, "Don't worry, he's not the president yet. This is old." Back when he was the apprentice Donald, so
everybody
it's
loved him.
different. Yes, he did not stun the president.
Well, Cena got a thing after that. He chases dreams.
Of course he does.
Then Cole and JBL talk about a dark match. It was a lumberjack match. Ric Flair and Carlito team.
Ric Flair.
And it's a good thing we didn't see it. I don't know. Then we get Ashley Massaro versus Melina in a lumberjill match for the women's championship. Bunch of girls came out. They said who the lumberjills were, but I don't give a shit. Ashley was on the
It's
cover.
just the divas, yeah.
Ashley was on the cover of Playboy, so naturally that translates to wrestling. She was also dressed like a whore and a skateboard chick at the same time. I was really confused.
Yeah. And again, she doesn't seem like the Playboy cover type. I don't know. It just seems too rocker.
She doesn't have the tattoos, though. If she had tattoos, she would be a little bit more out of place.
I mean, she's no Avril Lavigne or anything.
So it starts off with Ashley grabbing Melina by her hair, throwing her into the mat. She starts raining tiny slaps on Melina. Then Melina rolls out of the ring. Lumberjills throw her back in. Which in a traditional lumberjack match, the lumberjacks beat the shit out of whoever goes outside the ring. So Melina got off easy. Ashley tried to win with a quick schoolboy. JBL rightfully called out the dumb fuck Cole for calling it a schoolgirl. Melina begs off Ashley, grabs her hair, tosses her face first into the ropes. Then she starts choking. Then Ashley starts choking. And then Melina starts choking some more. She does a Cesaro swing. And after yet some more choking, Melina gets Ashley in a weird arm submission. Ashley does a head scissors, then kicks Melina's ass for a while, then does a monkey flip. Then she attempted the worst elbow drop I've ever seen, then does a roll up, which Melina countered 1, 2, 3.
So Ashley tried the elbow drop, misses, and that almost led to a 3 count. Never before have I seen someone miss a move and then that almost be the end. That's one thing. And then two, I was disappointed in this whole thing because Melina didn't do the splits.
She didn't.
And I was let down. I was out of the whole match after that. It's like, no. I'm not into this match because it didn't happen.
Well, Shawn Michaels had a thing, and he likes to be the center of attention. And Shawn Michaels and John Cena faced each other for the WWE Championship, and they did a fan vote. Cena won 59% to 41%. And in a video package, Michaels won a triple threat match. It was against Edge and Randy Orton for a number one contendership for Cena's title because Undertaker picked Batista. Then they did a montage to sappy music, and they teased Michaels super kicking Cena until he eventually does. Then Michaels comes out. It's to DX music, even though he's wearing white and red. And Michaels is also one half of the tag champions with Triple H, wherever he is. Then we cut to a Ford Mustang on the streets. It starts speeding recklessly. The car stops at Ford Field, then speeds recklessly into the parking garage. Then the car bursts through a pane of glass by the entrance ramp.
I just found out recently that he's like really in the cars. He likes to, drive them around and shit.
Well, it starts off with Michaels trying to shake hands. Cena says, "No, you just want to slap me in my face." So Michaels slaps Cena in the face. And then Michaels just leads on his experience and takes advantage of Cena's aggressiveness to win an early exchange. And then Michaels just out wrestles Cena, which is the story of Cena's career. Then Cena catches Michaels with a big clothesline, which gets a mixed reaction. Then he hits a shoulder tackle. Michaels fights back with a Thez press. Cena sends Michaels out of the ring. Michaels and Cena fight on the apron. Michaels hip tosses Cena just straight out of the ring onto the floor. Then he hits him with an enziguri and then does a moonsault from the apron to the announce desk. And then they get back in the ring. Michael starts kicking Cena's ass. Then he works on Cena's leg. Then he does the ring post deal with the leg. And then Michaels continues to work on Cena some more. And then he just stops to talk some shit. "Come on, John." Michaels tries a shoulder charge. Cena sidesteps. Michaels' head bounces off the ring post. And he's bleeding. Then Cena does the 5-knuckle shuffle, then positions Michaels for the FU. Michaels fights out of the FU. They tussle for a little bit. Then Michaels ends up super kicking the referee. Then Cena goes to FU Michaels. Crowd boos. Then Michaels counters the FU into a DDT. Crowd cheers at that. They still hate Cena. So it probably wasn't 59%. Those were doctored numbers. I'm calling it. Michaels pile drives Cena on the steel steps. Cena's busted open now. And then Michael spends a long ass time trying to drag Cena back into the ring. And then calls for another referee, which he probably should have done that when he was dragging Cena. Probably would have been the smart thing to do.
What do I talk about? So he just pile drived Cena on the steps, and then the ref runs out there. So he didn't just see that happen.
Right.
Or is he just ignoring it because he wasn't the legal ref?
It resets. So obviously Cena kicked out. The fans were pissed. And Michaels hits a flying clothesline. Kips up, does his elbow drop, goes to tune up the band. Cena counters Sweet Chin Music with a clothesline. Then he and Michaels trade punches. Cena goes for another FU. Michaels counters with the sunset flip. Cena finally gets an FU on Michaels after catching him in midair on a leapfrog. He teases doing the FU from the top rope. Michaels fights out, nails a crossbody on Cena. Cena rolls through for another FU. Michaels ends up landing on his feet. Then goes for Sweet Chin Music. Cena counters with the super kick with a drop toe hold, then does the STFU. Michaels fights out. Cena keeps trying the STFU, but Michaels keeps fighting out of it, and he actually wins the exchange with a small package attempt. Michaels goes for an enziguri again. Cena counters with an STFU. Michaels fights, then crawls to the ropes. Ref actually pulls Cena off Michaels, which means he was probably fired the next day. And then Michaels super kicks Cena when the ref was yelling at him. Cena kicked out, and he goes for another FU. Michaels escapes and gets another STFU. Michaels is in the middle of the ring, can't go anywhere, has to tap out. And after the match, Cena tried to give respect to Michaels but Michaels wasn't having it. So Cena just salutes him. It's
That's
also
all he
worth
can
noting
do.
that Cena was never in the military.
Is it worth noting?
It is.
Just let
He's
the man salute.
no, it's not just the salute. He's kissing his fucking dog tags and shit. Fuck out of here. But that was WrestleMania 23.
I don't know. For me, that was a hell of a match. Cena brought it. Michaels brought it. It started out slow, I would say, from the pile driver spot. It picked up for me. And it was amazing that they actually did a pile driver spot in WWE because, that doesn't happen too much,
Well,
especially now.
it was
But,
Shawn Michaels, so it's one of Vince's guys.
and you can see it was pretty safely done.
Yeah.
I like the ending sequence where it was a counter after a counter after a counter into the SCFU.
I was just wondering how many more creative ways Michaels was going to get out of the FU.
Yeah, he was countering them.
But yeah, good pay per view.
Yeah, I liked it. I don't like what
And
they did to the legends though. Why do they kind of keep shitting on the legends? It's almost you can say he hates the legends. Vince does.
it kind of seems like that.
I mean, last year was like Finkel. Bret Hart chose not to be here.
He wasn't comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, next week we have Halloween Havoc from WCW. And it's in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is with Rey Mysterio Jr. and Eddie Guerrero in the mask versus title match that's supposed to be really good. We get Jacqueline versus Disco Inferno, Ric Flair versus Mr. Perfect for the U.S. title.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
Yep.
Hopefully.
And then Roddy Piper versus Hollywood Hogan in a steel cage
Again.
match. This is in a steel cage, though.
Yeah. Hopefully that's a good one too.
And WrestleMania 24, like we said, is in Orlando. And the main event is Undertaker versus Edge for the World Heavyweight title. Think Edge has a shot?
Unfortunately, he doesn't.
I wonder if they're going to play up the Edge's undefeated.
They are streak versus streak in a sense. They played it up this year too. They said he's undefeated in singles matches, undefeated in ladder matches. Well, he's not undefeated anymore,
There we go.
but yeah. I remember I ended up liking this match too from The Undertaker and Edge. So maybe I've seen this WrestleMania.
You know what? I remember the Mayweather thing with Big Show, so I'm sure I've seen this at some point.
Actually, maybe I just watched the Edge and Undertaker match because I. Oh wait, no, I think I remember. Yeah, because Big Show had to get on his knees to get
Yeah.
hit.
And he got hit.
He sure did.
But that is all I've got.
Well, that was the retro review. And if you hit the like button on your way out, hit the subscribe button. And if you agree with anything, let us know in the comments. If you disagree with anything, let us know in the comments. And until next time,